Hi, everybody. Mayor Lou Manzo here with you again on this New Year's Eve to start by wishing you all a very safe and healthy New Year celebration through the weekend and looking forward to 2021. And that's the other reason for touching base with you today is to potentially give you a little glimpse of what 2021 is going to bring in our hometown. This has been a strange year on a lot of fronts, COVID being obviously a big part of that. And it also slowed down some of the progress that we were making in reference to some projects that we were excited to bring to town. And obviously, some of that includes some tax ratables, which are always good, but also, not necessarily just surrendering to the tax ratable chase and having just anything fill a spot that's available for the sake of potentially getting some tax dollars. And it's always an important consideration, but we do try to balance what is good for the town and obviously what can be an increase in revenue. So for example, if we wanted to just completely sell out for tax ratables, we'd be building warehouses all over the place like you see in Logan, because they're at our door, knocking every day, wanting to build warehouses everywhere there's open space, because that's a very hot market right now. And we have just been resistant to that, because we have a different sense of community here and what we want the makeup of our town to be. So we hope that you support us on that. We believe that you do. That's the reason that we are going down the path we're going. But to give you a glimpse into some of the things that you potentially are going to see actually come in front of our joint land use board for approval this year, and then a couple of other things that are in the offing, I wanted to take a minute or two to do that with you today. So I'll start. I'm going to try and share my screen to give you, a Google Map overview of where I'm talking about, because I think that helps in all cases. The first thing that I'm going to mention is the gas station that we've been talking about for such a long time, potentially coming to town, which is up at the old Oscar Jenkins site. Everybody that's been in town for a while knows what I'm talking about. You see on your screen right now, Main Street, which is North Main Street, Breakneck Road. So this is Route 45, the new Dunkin' Donuts up there on the corner. And this is Cedar, Cohawken Road. Well, this triangle right here, as we all know, is a vacant triangle and has been for many years. Maybe 20 years ago or so, a little longer, it was a gas station. It is approved for a new gas station, and we expect that development group to come before our joint land use board at some point in the early part of the year to get their final approval to move forward with finally building that gas station on North Main Street, which is so needed. Another area that we are looking at is in reference to development, is out here in the, as you're entering town. Everybody recognizes this area, Mulligan Hill Road, which is 322, and Cedar Road, the large triangle that has had a, for sale sign there forever and actually under contract recently. Everybody knows this Cedar Road and Route 322 triangle. This is going to be a beautiful new medical office building. They will be coming in for final approvals in the early part of the year and break ground later this year. This will include a reconfiguration of this turn right here, where there will be a, I'll call it a diagonal road that comes up, will actually come to a stop sign at a 90-degree angle here and create a landscape triangle. So it'll no longer be coming down Cedar Road to try and dart out onto the Route 322. There will be a 90-degree stop sign right here. So you make a right or a left if you're coming off of Cedar Road. And then this area right here, this triangle will be landscaped and it will look beautiful to go with this new, beautiful new medical office building that is planned. And obviously that's a nice rateable also. Another office building that's going to be come before our joint land use board for final approval later this year. Now I'm out in the Richwood area. You can see Route 322 and 55 interchange here. Wawa's here. This is the intersection where the CVS is, Harrisonville Road, Richwood Road. Everybody knows where I'm talking about. Right next to CVS. There's a little red brick rancher here in this entire area is going under contract and we come before our joint land use board for a nice new, really cool looking office building that's going to break ground later this year. They should be in front of our joint land use board, as I said, potentially in the first quarter of 2021. As I go down my list, I'm looking to my left here at my list of things to go over. We are now back in town. We are at Old Town Hall, Route 45, right? Woodstown Road, Main Street. We know where we're at. This is Old Town Hall. Across the street or diagonal from Old Town Hall is a building, a historic building known as the Cope Building. We all recognize that building. It's kind of been dilapidated for many years, falling into disrepair. It was owned by Friends School, who stopped using it many years ago. For a visual look, everybody recognizes what this building looks like. As I said, obviously it's been in a state of disrepair, excuse me, for a long time. The roof needs replacement, but it is a historic building. Actually, our Historic Preservation Commission many years ago stopped the potential demolition of this building because it just became, too much to maintain for Friends School. But our Historic Preservation Commission saved it from being demolished. And now, as fate would have it, last year a group came in and purchased the building. They have intent to fully refurbish the building to its historic grandeur, including a couple of like really cool loft apartments up top with balconies that are going to be put in, and some office space in the lower floors. This is all being done in conjunction with our Historic Preservation Commission, who was completely on board with this. You're looking at you know, probably $1 million project in reference to restoration, more than that when it's all said and done. But you're going to go from a building that has fallen into disrepair and a bit of an eyesore to become one of the staples of our historic district once again, and fittingly so, considering it was one of the first sites of a schoolhouse in Gloucester County and served as a schoolhouse for many years. So now that's going to be back, to its full blossom at some point in the future, and we hopefully will have that group in front of our Joint Land Use Board in the beginning of 2021. I move on to one of the major projects in town. You probably may have heard this through the grapevine, and now I'm looking at a map, and we're up here at the Harrison House and Route 322 and Main Street intersection, right? There's the Harrison House coming down Main Street for the funeral home. And this large piece of land that is behind all the Main Street houses and in between Route 322 and Woodland Avenue has been talked about for a long time, the Holzhauser Farm, as it's known, and has been under contract for a couple of years now. And we have been working closely with that developer to build an age-restricted or active adult, as it is now known, community there. This is something that we've really focused on trying to get done because of what we know it will mean to our North Main Street as far as commerce and everything that this developer is planning. And when we give a little look into what that looks like, I can show you a picture, which is just an overview of what that will look like. So now if you're here reconfiguring yourself, Main Street and Route 322, Harrison House here, Woodland Avenue, you're going to have an entryway, a boulevard entry path off of Main Street. One of the large historic homes is going to be brought back again to its full blossom and become potentially, this is one of the, gives, I'll say, for the developer to invest an incredible amount of money to purchase this property and to refurbish it and gut it on the inside, preparing it to become our desired restaurant, beautiful BYOB, more than likely, right up here on Main Street, which will then also be the entryway off of Main Street into this community, which will be single-family homes here in this area with a beautiful clubhouse, a bridge across the wetlands that are there in the creek that goes into another section, which will be townhouses, and that fronts and goes on to Route 322. So you're having a triple entry access point off of 322 into the townhouse section, over the bridge into the single family home section, out and in and out off of Main Street by a beautiful new restaurant, hopefully, and then in and out on Woodland Avenue. That will trigger a traffic light that will be put in place here on Woodland Avenue and Main Street, which will help with that traffic. And again, we approve of and seek this type of density here because of what it does to North Main Street, a 55 and older community. People, for the most part, probably either at the end of their working careers or already retired, with disposable income to help spend some of that income on North Main Street, a restaurant, and then other businesses that are here and beyond. So That's what that's going to look like. And they are already in the process of going through our historic preservation approvals and working with them. And they will be in front of our joint land use board for an approval in the beginning of the year. Those are the projects that are for sure, and we will see come in for approvals. If I look at municipal projects, projects that are being done by us or another municipal agency, I look down at the ponds. I now have reconfigured yourself. This is Mullica Hill Pond, Route 322 in front of the pond, going up to Mullica Hill Road at the light right here where the Harmony Fire is, or up Mill Road back onto Main Street. So if you configure yourself here, most people don't realize that the township owns all of this property that fronts the pond. So if you turn into that little driveway next to this house, the one house, they own obviously the section that is their driveway, but everything else behind that and to the, going towards the pond is owned by the township and has been for a long time. We are going to embark on a, cleanup project in the spring and potentially have some fishing docks here. Obviously, with a beautiful bridge is here now. We're trying to make this more of a destination where people can come. If we look at a Google map, oh, wrong shot, a Google map version of that, which I thought I had. Sorry about that, but apparently I don't. I can go over here and look at a satellite view of that. So again, here's the pond, here's the bridge, here's that house. All of these woods and this frontage area is all owned by the township. We intend on cleaning some of this up, making it more of a destination for passive recreation, just some beautiful viewing areas, and obviously some fishing or take your dog for a walk area. That's going to be happening early next year in the spring and into the summer. Again, if I stay in the same area, coincidentally, another municipal project that will come to its completion is if you round the bend on Route 322 and come up to Main Street. You've heard me talk about in the past, the sidewalk project right now, right at the bridge. There's sidewalks across here, but the sidewalk ends right here with our street lamps. The project being paid for by one of the developers of the Mullica Hill West project, if you recall, several years ago now, was to complete the sidewalk up to Main Street, including a beautiful retaining wall on the hill here. All of that work is, we've been working on it in preparation with our utility companies these last couple months, and weather permitting, even through the winter, this project will commence, but certainly into the spring, where we'll have sidewalks from Main Street connecting all the way down to the pond with a beautiful retaining wall in this area. That's going to, come to fruition finally going forward. The last section right in here, we know that we have recently, you've seen some, orange cones up, preventing people from walking up and down. This is Raccoon Creek. Here's Naples and the bridge area right here where the millworking little shop is. Everybody will recall that. Again, if I look at a picture of that, this is the view. That's the millworking shop. This is the bridge area, which has been in a state of deterioration for a long time. The state Department of Transportation is coming in and has been on site, and depending on the weather, will go and launch into a project that will completely redo this bridge in this area, including what the railing will look like. So we're looking for a little more historic, flavor to that railing, and certainly reinforce this structure and make it, sound again. That's going to commence, as I said, in the spring, and depending on the weather, maybe even before that. One thing that I don't have a picture for is the other municipal project, which is a concession stand at PVS, Pleasant Valley School, which has long been in the works. There will now be a beautiful concession stand and restrooms that will be groundbreaking in the spring and completion, hopefully sometime in the summer, certainly for the fall season when football starts again, and we hope that we're all back to normal by then. But that's another project that will commence next year. And then if I'm one thing that I want to mention as far as projects, which we talk about a lot and it's been in the offing forever, it's the Richwood project. And right now the map shows that Route 322 and 55 area where the hospital is. And right out in this area, as we all know, the Richwood project, town center, is 385 acres, which encompasses everything on either side of Route 322 from 55 down to Barnesboro Road, pretty much. So it's all of this area along 55 and everything that is south, Route 322, and on the north side behind the Wawa and up against 55 It's that entire area. For the longest time, and the developer, Madison Marquette, has received their approvals a year ago, final approval to build that project, which has an approval for 1,500 additional homes. So it's the rest of the build out of our community, and more than 1 million square feet, roughly 1 million square feet of retail. The reason this project has stopped and started and stalled over the years is just because of what the market has, been able to bear. And as we all know right now, the retail market has changed considerably. So the potential for even, 1 million square feet, let alone 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 square feet of retail out here is all still up in question because of what the market is. On the other side of the interchange, the other project, this is all Rowan's, land, is what was been known as the Modus project, which was that major sports recreation field project in conjunction with Rowan University. Those two projects have been in the discussion, for many years, Richwood longer. The reason I mention them right now is not to say that they are happening and you'll see groundbreaking. What I'm saying is that there is serious conversation with both of those projects, not related to each other, that it could completely transform what that interchange looks like and what this entire Richwood project looks like, and what that Modus project potentially will be. And so I'm not at liberty to discuss those details, but potentially, in the first quarter of next year, all of this could actually crystallize where I will come to you maybe on another, video like this and explain to you what the new project is going to be, which is going to be a transformational project potentially, which would change, as I said, what the future is for that Richwood project in a good way. And whatever that Modus project might be, that recreational sports facility. So keep that in the back of your mind that, if you hear me talking about it, that's why I'm not mentioning it now, because there's a transition point that we're at right now, and we'll see where it lands. The last thing that I'll touch on are just things that you're already aware of in reference to, how things have been going in town. Let me just try and get back right here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see me up front, up close. Obviously, Main Street has been a visual focus center point through the holidays because of the lights. I know you love them. You've told us repeatedly. We intend to keep the street lights, the pinlit trees in that manner at least through Valentine's Day. More than likely, they will come down at some point after that. And the tree itself, we'll make a decision on that as far as how long we'll keep it lit. Obviously, we had lit it most of the year because of the COVID situation, but we know that you have been enjoying that, and we love all that feedback. And the last thing I'll touch on has nothing to do with any hardscape or projects. It has to do with another transformation which is taking place in our police department as we speak. Today, if you're seeing this on New Year's Eve, is the last day of the careers of two major figures in our town, Chief of Police Thomas Mills and our Captain of Police, Brian Bartholomew. They officially retire as of midnight, the stroke of midnight tonight, after long careers, 33 years for Brian and 28 years in law enforcement for Chief Mills, 22 of which are here. In the last decade or so, they have been the leaders of our police department. We had a small, intimate ceremony, as COVID would only allow us, for a couple of days ago to pay them, a slight homage that we normally would do in much, greater pomp and circumstance. But I want to recognize them to you here today. I've done it in writing, and now I want to say to you in person, the debt that we owe these two gentlemen, Tom Mills and Brian Bartholomew. Wish them the best in their retirement. Obviously, they're still part of our community, but it's also a transition point because as of, midnight tonight, 12:01 a.m. On January 1st, 2021, the new command staff takes over, which we went through a process earlier this year, and from within, we promoted Lieutenant Ron Cundy to be the new chief of police. Detective Sergeant Adam McAvoy will assume the captain's role, and Sergeant Dave Marrow will become the lieutenant and make up the new command staff as of January 1st and going forward. So you'll hear from them going forward. We'll give you a little more information on them, but wanted to make you aware of that transformation, which is an important one for our community. So with that being said, I know it was a lot. I hope that it was informative. questions will come my way, I'm sure. Shoot me emails, text, whatever you like. As these things start to come to fruition, it's an important time in our community. We are excited about everything that's happening. Again, we're striking that balance between maintaining the integrity and charm of our community, but yet progressing. And that's what it's all about. It's, it's been a strange year, and hopefully 2021 will bring new things. But one thing is for sure, we will remain who we are, and we will remain, as always, Harrison Strong.